Very good. Welcome everyone to our session today on an overview of Canvas. This particular topic has gained quite a bit more importance to us over the last few weeks as the coronavirus outbreak threatens the possibility of school closures. Hopefully it'll never come to that, but just in case it does, we do have some tools at the district that can help us get through a situation like that without having our students' educational progress interrupted. And a critical tool, probably the most important tool we have available for you, is our learning management system, Canvas. Our system is used to deliver online courses and we use all the time for that, but which can be a tremendous help here in a situation where we at least have to temporarily offer many or all of our courses online. Again, there's no suggestion yet that that's likely to happen, but it's not an impossibility. It's already happened in China. So we want to be prepared just in case. So what we're going to do today is try to take a look at, just a brief look at the major things you need to know in order to put your course on Canvas and to provide your course to students. Obviously, we can't cover every detail in 2 hours, but we'll do our best to tiptoe through this as quickly as possible. I will be sharing my screen much of the day. You'll be spared looking at me. If you you will see, when I share my screen, you'll see a little video thumbnail of me and perhaps several of your colleagues. You can move that around by clicking at the top of that little window and moving it around if it gets in the way of something that I'm trying to show you on the screen. Or you can just minimize it by clicking on a dash in the upper left-hand corner of that little window, and that'll make it very small and will prevent it from covering anything up that you need to see. So let me go ahead and share my screen. One of the neater things that we can do with Zoom. And here's just a quick look at our syllabus outline today. We're going to look at how to operate and navigate in Canvas, how to add content that you can share with your students, and the different types of content that you can add, how to add assessments, how to actually put assessments online, quizzes, homework assignments, graded discussions that your students can complete online so that they don't have to be in class to hand in a paper or something like that, or to take a test. We'll also look at communication and then at the major parts of the Canvas course menu. I'm going to put a link to this in case you want a copy of this syllabus, or if you want to open it up in another window and keep it handy. Let me put that in the chat tool. All right, that's in your chat tool. You can bring that up just by clicking on that link. It is freely shared with anyone. And I'm going to just keep this off screen here and in my sight line so that I can keep it. I don't miss something. Again, ask questions anytime you're ready. We'll start off by seeing how to access Canvas. Oh, and one other thing before I get going, I was just about to forget something, but for the outline. If you wouldn't mind using that chat tool to enter your name and your email address. That'll be important in case somebody asks a question today that I can't answer and I have to get back to you with the answer. Also, it gives us a roster so we know who's attended. That helps us make future plans as well. So I'd very much appreciate it if you wouldn't mind using the chat tool now, or at some point between now and the end of the session, to just enter your name and your email address there so that I can keep track of that. I appreciate that. Now, the first thing we'll learn, of course, is how to get to Canvas, how to access it. It's the same for you as it is for the students. The URL, the web address for Canvas, is sdccd.instructure.com. And probably the easiest way to get to Canvas is just to type that, just as you see it there, into the address line of a web browser. Doesn't matter which one, Canvas works equally well with all modern web browsers. Chrome, Edge on Windows, Safari on the Mac, Firefox, any of the major web browsers will work fine. Just bring one up, type this in and press enter, and you come up to the Canvas login page for the district. Your user ID will be your 10-digit employee number. And for the students, it'll be their 10-digit student number. That's probably in most cases, that's your old CSID with 3 zeros in front of it, though some people have been reassigned a different 10-digit ID. But it's your PeopleSoft ID, the ID that you use to log in to the portal, the PeopleSoft portal. Your password, by initially set, will be your 8-digit birth date, month, day, year. So, and that's pretty important. So let's make sure everybody sees what I mean. Bring up Notepad here, or over here somewhere. No, I don't want to. And I want a new file. Thank you. So if your birthday were June 1st, 1998, hard for me, your password for Canvas would be 06, the number of the month. If it's a single-digit month, you need to put a 0 in front. 0601, same for the day, and 1998. That would be your password. So that's how you'll figure that out. If you have any trouble getting in, you can always call the Canvas helpline, though you sort of need to be able to get into Canvas to find that number. So you can also always contact Online Learning Pathways at support@sdccdonline.net, and I just put that in the chat tool. My user ID and password are a little different because I was one of the first 2 or 3 people in the system. So I'm just going to enter my ID and my password and click login, and you're in Canvas. The first thing you see is your Canvas dashboard. This is where the courses that you are teaching, and if you're taking any, they'll be here too. But this is where your currently active courses show up. Each one of these rectangles or tiles represents a separate course. And to access one of the courses, all you have to do is click on that rectangle. Let's see, I made us a course shell for today. There it is. Hopefully your dashboard will never get that cluttered. And if I click on that, I'll be able to enter my Canvas course, he said. If I actually click on it. And here we are inside of a blank Canvas course. This is exactly what the course shells that you will receive will look like when you get them. They'll just be blank slates upon which you can write, as it were. the each of your course sections at the district receives a Canvas shell at the beginning of the term, or about a week before the beginning of the term, automatically. You don't have to do anything to make that happen. And that's true whether it's an online course or an on-campus course or any course. All courses in the course schedule receive a Canvas container or shell into which you can put content and assessments and communication tools that you can share with your students. We don't recommend that you wait that long, of course, to start developing your course if you think you may have to use it. So you're welcome to request what are called development shells, which are just master shells, where you can put your content, get it ready to go, get it ready to share with your students. And then when the time comes, you can very quickly and easily copy the content from that development shell into your live shells that appear automatically. But the development shells you do have to request, because we wouldn't know who would want what. So you can request those shells by going to the Help button in the Canvas System menu over here on the left side of the page. You see this on every Canvas screen. And at the bottom, we have this Help icon, and you will see a Canvas support line for faculty. That's a 24/7 number. These folks are very helpful, very good to work with. And there's the number, 844-612-7422. That is the faculty support line for the San Diego Community College District in Canvas. So all you have to do is call that number and say, I want development shells, and I want one development shell for each of the courses that I teach. So if I teach English 101 and English 205, I can get a development shell for 101, for 205. And they will make those for you, and they'll be available in minutes. And you'll end up with something that looks just like this. So the question becomes, now what? It's axiomatic in software use and software training that the first thing that you learn when you're tasked with using a new software system is how to get help. And we've already seen that here with Canvas. It's this little help button. It's always available. Once you get into Canvas, you have help available. You have this support hotline. Literally at 2 a.m. on Christmas morning, you can call the support hotline and get help. You might get the B team, but even the B team is pretty good for Canvas. Okay, I see a couple of questions here. I'm going to jump that in just a second. You also have the Canvas guides, which are a tremendous resource of literally hundreds of helpful tutorials about Canvas. And those tutorials, if we go to the Canvas guides here, are subdivided into tutorials for instructors and for students. So your students have access, can get help with Canvas in the same way. Though I'll say we've had very few students need help with Canvas. That's been wonderful. We also have some Canvas tutorials of our own, which you can access through this link here. It's a YouTube playlist that has a wide variety of Canvas tutorials in it. These are all video tutorials, and we're adding to this all the time. This session that we're doing today will be in there pretty soon. So you can always get help with Canvas, 24/7, 365. So don't ever hesitate to ask, and also, of course, don't ever hesitate to ask us for help with the system. Now, I'm going to go over here and take a look at our questions here for a second. see, quick Canvas. For in-class use, would I be using Zoom by itself or from within Canvas? Zoom is a separate entity from Canvas, of course. You can use it from within Canvas using this Confer Zoom link over here in the Canvas course menu. If you have a Zoom account acquired through a free Zoom account required through CCC Confer, which is yours for the asking. Or you can just use Zoom directly from the Zoom app that you can download. Let's see, there it is, right there. Looks like that. Or from the Zoom website, which is zoom.us, and you can use it from there. You don't have to use it within Canvas, but you certainly can. And there's no particular reason to prefer one over another. Missed how to link to the syllabus today. Let's see, I'll put that up again. Let's see. See if I still have that. Yeah, I do. There it is. Oop, I didn't do that for everyone, darn it. Sorry. There it is. Yeah, if someone came in late, they might not have seen that. So there's the syllabus again, if you want to bring that up as well. Let's see now. What is the difference between a shell or container and a development shell? A shell is just a container into which you put content in Canvas. A development shell is one where you build your course, but you don't actually teach your course from it. Your students will never see that shell. It's just a place to get your course ready, your course shell ready, and then you copy the contents of that development shell into your live shell. A day or one or more days before the beginning of the term, once you have everything settled down. The reason we do that, and yeah, Fred has mentioned this, and is absolutely right. If you're working on your live shell and there's some change made in your course, like they changed the course number or something like that, what you've been working on becomes inaccessible to you, and you get a new blank shell. And while we can get that content back, it's tedious for both of us. So it's much better if you use the development shell to create your course, and then relatively soon, or relatively late, before you actually start teaching, you copy that content over into your live shells. And you'll get a new shell for each class every semester. But your development shell, you will keep. It will never disappear. And you can then use it to copy your content into your new shells in each successive semester. And to reduce clutter on your dashboard, way to put unused or unwanted courses into a folder. Well, you can get them off your dashboard, yes. Courses that expire, that have completed, will automatically disappear from your dashboard. You can also manually remove courses from the dashboard, and those courses will then be available in the courses list, which is right below the dashboard in the system menu. And you can move things over there, yes. I think we're ready to move on then. Very well. So let's get back into this shell that we are going to be using for today. This is a development shell, if you will. And this, just a real quick mention of what the Canvas interface looks like here typically. You do have this system menu I've already alluded to that has a number of tools in there, like your calendar, your inbox, your email system that's built into Canvas, the dashboard. You won't have an admin link, but your account information's under this one. So this is always here. Each course will have a course menu on the left, very similar to the one we had in Blackboard. Many of the same links here, types of links. We'll talk about those as we go along. In the center here, we have a large content area where your content will actually display, and other things from time to time. And then over on the far right, there's a task menu that has other useful things in it, like your student view. If you want to see what your course looks like to your students, you can just click on this link right here, and it will show you the course as a student, in the way that a student sees it, which is not always exactly the same thing you see. And we'll talk some more about some of this here in a little while. But that's basically the way the screen is subdivided in Canvas. One of the notable things about Canvas, especially in contrast to Blackboard, is the relative simplicity and intuitive nature of the interface. It's much easier in Canvas to look at a screen and be able to figure out what to do next than it used to be in Blackboard. The interface is relatively intuitive. This is one of the reasons we seldom have questions from students about how do I navigate my course and things like that. The interface is just much more easily grasped, and Canvas encourages the kind of course design that makes it easy for students to navigate a course. And we'll talk about that here. That's our next item on the list. So I've got this blank shell. Now what do I do? Well, probably the first thing you're going to start doing is start putting your course content into Canvas. Your lecture notes, your PowerPoint presentations, your just any sort of content information that you want to share with them on your videos, if you make those, your audio recordings, any type of textual or audio visual information that you need to share with your students can go in here, your syllabus, things like this. So what do I do here? Well, I've got obviously two big options here. Add existing content. Well, if you had a shell in Blackboard, you haven't already moved that content over into Canvas, you can still retrieve that content from Blackboard. Or if you have information in a Canvas shell at another institution, you want to bring that in here, you can do that as well. That's not the focus of today's seminar, because it's something that is kind of, most people who have that kind of information available to them have already done that. But we can surely show you how to do that. If you do have something sitting back on Blackboard that you'd like to retrieve, we can still do that from our Blackboard system. But much more likely, you're going to be starting from scratch. You're going to be adding content into Canvas for the first time. And to do that, we use this other big icon here that says create a new module. Well, what's a module? Well, a module is a content container in Canvas, very similar to the learning modules in Blackboard, into which you put related content items. So that your course in Canvas is basically just a series of modules, each module containing related information. Your modules might be organized by, in any number of ways. You might organize them by weeks in the course. You might put everything that you cover in week 1 in a week 1 module, and then week 2 and week 3 and so on. Or you might organize by the chapters in the book. You say, I have a chapter 1 module, chapter 2 module, maybe a chapter 3 and 4 module or whatever, but you can organize by chapter, just by topic. You can just make a series of topic modules where each topic has its own module, its own container for content, or something else, just a matter of how you logically organize your course. But we'll have to get started, we'll have to create our first module. And to do that, you just click on this big link here. And you get an Add Module box popping up. And this one's real simple. And indeed, most of the interface in Canvas is relatively simple like this. The ethos for Instructure, the company that provides Canvas, is that Canvas should be easy and intuitive to use. Not that it necessarily be the most powerful learning management system on the market. That would probably be Blackboard. But for those of you who remember using Blackboard and remember how complex it could get to do even simple things in Blackboard, you realize that maybe having the most power in an LMS is not the best thing. At least that's not Instructure's ethic. While Canvas is a very powerful LMS, there are a few more features in Blackboard, certainly, than there are in Canvas. And there are times where you get really down into the nitty-gritty and you find things that you used to be able to do in Blackboard and you can't do in Canvas anymore. And there will be some of that for those of you who remember Blackboard. But on the other hand, it's a lot easier to do 99%. You can probably do 99+% of the things in Canvas that you could do in Blackboard, and it's a lot easier to do all of them. So that's Canvas's ethos. So all we have to do here is provide a module name. And we make a suggestion that perhaps the first module you want to put up there is a module that covers everything the students need to know before they actually start dealing with your course content, like a welcome module or a getting started module or an introduction module or whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it getting started. I'm even going to try to spell it right. My mother told me to take typing. Okay, getting started. I'm not going to worry about locking it at this point. We're going to keep things simple. All right, getting started. So I just type in a name and add a module. When I do that, we go to the so-called modules tool in the course menu. That happens automatically. You can also just go over here and you can make modules by clicking on that Add Module button there. So we've got a container into which we can put content. There's nothing there yet, but it's easy enough to add it. Let's see. The first thing might be a welcome message. Okay, well, let's add some content here. Let's test the intuitive nature of the Canvas interface. How do I add content to this module? Anybody? Chat or just unmute yourself and say. Nobody wants to get it wrong. Okay. Well, add the content. What do we see here that has something to do with add? Plus sign, add. If I click that big plus sign there, I get an add item to module, the getting started module. Again, fairly simple to start. It's going to there's going to be more things to look at here as we work our way through this process. But right now we're interested in adding content. So how do we add content? Well, we have this little menu here that says add and to getting started. And it starts with assignment, but that's just the first item in a menu. If I click the little down caret, I get a menu listing of the things I can add to this module. And when I say things to add to this module, I mean links to content or assessments or other items in your course that you want your students to be able to access. And we'll talk about assignments and quizzes and discussions and so on later, but the two types of content that you can add into your Canvas shell are files and pages. A file is a computer file of almost any kind that you've created outside of Canvas, that you've created in, say, Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or Excel or, gee, who knows, just about any type of computer file produced by any application that you might be using. That can be loaded into Canvas. Canvas will load that file into a file storage area in your course, and it will put a link into this module that we're creating. The student can click on the link in the module, and the file will show up to the student in one of two ways, and we'll see a little more detail on that in a moment. The other option is to create a Canvas page. A Canvas page is also a file, but it's a file that you create inside Canvas. It's basically a web page, which can contain text, graphics, video, links to content both outside of Canvas and other content inside of Canvas. Basically a web page. And let's start with that, since that happens to be the way my example is set up here. I'm going to make a Canvas page because I can do that inside of Canvas. If I had already created some pages in Canvas, they would appear down here, and I could just create a link to those pages in this module. But I don't, this is a blank shell. I don't have squat in here, so I'm going to need to create a new page. What's not as absolutely intuitive as it might be here is that to create a new page, I click on this new page, the words new page here. But the cursor doesn't change to a little pointing finger or anything. So this is a little counterintuitive, but if I just click on that, on the words new page, the box here adds new options in response to that. And I'm asked to, basically at this point, all I have to do is give the page a name. And I'm just going to call this page Welcome. Call it Fred if I wanted to. Sorry, Fred. And don't worry about indentation and so on. We're not going to get fancy on how this looks. So I'm just going to give it a name and add the item. Okay, that's an item. That's a page. That's what that little icon there means. You learn to recognize these after a while. But now, in order to access that page, I would just click on the name of the page. If I wanted to do something other than access it, I have a little context menu down here at the far right, 3 dots above one another. That's a universal menu symbol popularized by Google and Chrome. I think they call it a vertical ellipsis. And if I click on that, I get a menu. And I can indent, I can edit it, but at this point, editing just means changing the name if I wanted to change my mind. I don't want to do that. I can duplicate it, make another one that looks just like it to, in case I want to have that as a starting point and making a new page. I can move it, but I don't need this over here to do that. I can remove it from the module if I decided I really didn't want that in there. And I'm not going to worry about the commons right now. So we don't want to do any of that right now. We want to add content to this page. So to do that, I just click on the name of the page here. And I see what's currently in there, which is zip and squat, except for the name. This is a blank page. So how do I make it unblank? How do I add information to it? Well, that's fairly intuitive here, and that's the edit button up here in the upper right. And when I click that edit button, I bring up what's called the rich content editor in Canvas, which is basically just its text editor or page editor that you see throughout the system. This is what students see when they go to post to a discussion or type in text and other content in response to an assignment or whatever. This content editor shows up all over the system. And we're not going to take a real detailed look at it. That's the purview of our next session. I believe it's the next one. Let me pull that up. Where'd that go? There we go. Not sure where that went. Sorry, I've got 3 screens here. I'm trying to find them. Come on. Bring that up. Huh. Oh, I'll find it in a moment. Yeah, I'd really like to see that. Come on. Ah, there it is. Finally found it. Our next session on the 10th, which is next Tuesday at the same time, 2 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, is content creation in Canvas, where we'll go into much more detail on how to use this content editor. But let's just give you a rough overview on that. Bring up my that's not it. Get back into Canvas here. Ah, there it is. Okay. So what might I want to put in here? Well, probably the title of the course and maybe a little welcoming thing. Like, how about welcome to, and the sample course I'm using over here for content is an old Flex course that I used to run online called Introduction to Screencasting, which is a very useful technique in online and web enhanced education. And we have a spell checker, just like we would in Word. And we have all the usual text editing things. I can bold that. I can make it bigger. I can center it if I want to. Just usual stuff. So that's something we might want to have. And it just so happens I had a video that I recorded of myself welcoming the students to that course. It's really easy to put video into this course. I just need the URL for the video, which I just copied to my clipboard. And I can just Control V and enter, and I get a little placeholder here. And if I save this, I can't really see what I've just done here until I save this page. And here's a link to the video, and here's a little embed of it. And if I click on it, the video plays.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Introduction.
So that's easy to do. It's all you have to have is the link to the video. It can be one you created, or it might be something in other places in the course. It might be something you found on YouTube or on TED, on the TED website or National Geographic website. Who knows? There's a wealth of instructional video available for free out on the internet. So just that quickly, I've created a basic little web page here. And if I go back to my module, there it is, there's the modules tool. There's a link to that page. If the student comes along, clicks on that link, boom, up comes the page. I can clean this up a little bit. I can make the embed a little neater and so on if I want to, but this works. And that we'll look at more of that in the content creation seminar next Tuesday, if you would like to come and watch that one. But this works. So there's my first link in my module. So what might I want? What else might I want in the Getting Started module? Well, it's probably the most important thing you provide to the students on the first day of class. This is kind of first day of class stuff. The things that you go over with your students or provide to your students on the first day of class. Well, number one, it's probably got to be the syllabus, right? Ah, very good. Thank you. You got it in. If you hadn't had to unmute yourself, you'd have gotten it in before I said it. You're absolutely right. The syllabus has to go in here, right? Well, I can click here to add something. And typically, what are you going to have your syllabus in? What form are you going to have your syllabus in that you can put online?
Word?
Word document.
Mine's in Word.
Yeah, that Word is great. Or a PDF is fine. Whatever format you have that will, those are the two most likely possibilities right there, unless you have some sort of exotic syllabus and some odd tool that you found on the internet. It's probably a Word document or a PDF. And it's in a file that's on your computer. How are you going to get it in here? Well, that's when you use the same interface that we used before to make that page. We can now select a file to upload to Canvas and link into this module. We just click File. And since we don't have any files yet, we have to click New File. And then you get the option to choose a file to upload from your computer. So you just click that button that says Choose File. And find your syllabus file on your local computer. Yours is as chaotic as mine. That may take a minute. That's probably the longest or the most time-consuming element of this whole thing is finding the stuff you want to put on here. I think I've got one here somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, this one is a Word doc. So that's the one I want. You could also use an HTML file if you happen to have that, a web page, but Word doc is certainly the most likely. So I'll just select that and click Open. That tells Canvas which file I want to upload. And don't worry about the rest of this here. Just choose File, click on select your syllabus file, your current syllabus from your computer, and click Add Item. Just that fast, that Word document was uploaded to Canvas. It goes into your file manager. in Canvas. So you can look at that over here in the Files link in the course menu. And there it is, just for grins. But what's really more important to you right now is that you get a link to it here in the module. In order for the student to see that syllabus, all they have to do is click on that link. And this is cool. The student doesn't even have to have Word or any editor that will open a Word file on their computer. Canvas has server-side file viewers for most common content file types like PDF, docx or docx or .doc or Microsoft Word documents, PowerPoint, PPTX, and so on. So it can show the students this file without having to wait for that file to download to the student's computer, and then open up Word on that student's computer or some application that will display a Word document and then display it. So this happens much faster because it all happens on the server. Wonderful, wonderful thing about Canvas that we didn't have in Blackboard. So it makes Word documents much easier for the students to use. PowerPoints too. Basically what Canvas does is convert, a very sophisticated file converter converts the Word document to a PDF and then displays the PDF, which is a faithful representation of the Word document. And there it is, there's my syllabus, just that fast. If the student wants a copy of it, they can print out on paper, they can click this little link here, and they can download the file. And I don't think there's any way you can stop them from doing that I can think of, in case anybody has that question. But it's ready to go. You just, in just a few mouse clicks, and without me blathering on about it, a couple of minutes, you have a link to your syllabus in the module. The student can always come back and find that. This is worth doing even if the coronavirus doesn't shut us down, and you just want to do and you're teaching a face-to-face course. You don't have to run off the syllabus this way. And if the student, or if you do run it off and give it to them on paper and the student loses a copy, they can just go in here and get it. There's no excuse for not being able to read the syllabus. So that's certainly something. What else? Well, we might also put maybe some instructor information in here. Let me just make a page for that. We'll see a couple of different iterations of this. There's my welcome page that I created, but I need a new page for this. So I'll call it just give it a name, add the item. Again, click on the name of the page to bring up the blank page, and then edit it to add content. Just repetition is the soul of learning, right? We're going to do this again. And what might I put here? Well, I might put a picture. This little tool right here allows me to embed an image in the page. I can use an image that's out on the web somewhere, but that's a little risky because, especially if you didn't put it up there, it might disappear. But typically we'll use something that's in Canvas, except I haven't uploaded any images to Canvas yet, but that's fine. We can do that right here. I do have to tell it where to put it. And I have a course files folder for this particular course shell, and I have a personal folder you get with your Canvas account on Canvas that you can use in multiple courses. Usually you're going to use the course files folder. And once you tell Canvas that, this little upload file button lights up. So we click on that. And let's see, I think there's a picture of me. Just select that, open it. The picture uploads. It's important that you make the alt text something meaningful. This is what blind students use a screen reader will hear when their screen reader moves past this image in the course or in the Canvas page. This basically tells them not to worry about it. Images that contain information that they need should be described much more extensively, of course. Or if the image is purely decorative, like it's just a pretty border or something like that, you can click this that says, I certainly wouldn't refer to this image as decorative, but if it is just a pretty picture that you're using that has no particular informational content, you can just click that and the screen reader will skip it completely. I just update. And there's that picture. I'm not going to tell you how old that picture is. I can center that picture if I want to. And just move around. All right. I can then add information. Let's see. Let me pull that up here. I'm just I can also copy and paste information into this editor. I've got this on another screen here, so I'm just going to copy it with a Control-C and paste. Generally, when you paste into a web editor, you want to use the keyboard shortcuts for copy and paste. Copy is Control-C on the keyboard. Paste is Control-V. So there's some instructor information. I can center that if I want to. All the usual text editor tools. So there's another page just that fast. I can save that. And if I go back to the modules tool, now I've got 3 items in my module. Cool. So I've added content to a module, both in the form of a file and in the form of Canvas pages. I've shared that information with the students, or I can share that with the students simply by sending them to the modules page. And indeed, when students enter a course, unless you set it up otherwise, unless you deliberately change it, the first thing they see when they enter a course is the modules page. So we've got the beginnings of a course with course content. Just that fast. We've been at it an hour. But most of that's been my bloviation. To actually do this would take very little time. Let's see, I've got a question over here. Good. Yes, absolutely, Thelma. I will be more than happy to email you the link to this when we get done. So that's, at this point, you know most of what you need to know to put content in. You just have to think about how you want to organize your content modules from this point. There is something else I want to talk about before I move along to show you that. These little circles over here are important to you. Those determine whether students can see this information or not. Canvas uses the term publish to mean make something visible to students. That refers both to the entire course. I have this publish button over here on the home screen, the first screen that you enter. And then individual items and individual modules and individual items within modules also have to be published in order for the student to see them. You can publish the entire course just by clicking this publish button here. That's something you would not do with a development shell because students are never going to use your development shell. That's just for you to create your course shell with add all the information, all the items, all the content, all the assessment links and so on to it before you move it over into your live shell. But in your live shell, in order for students to see that, you have to publish that shell, which you can do just by clicking on that publish button. That's all there is to it. And if you change your mind, you can unpublish it up to the point where students begin accessing content, or rather start submitting things to the shell. Once the first student submits something to the shell, like a homework assignment or takes a quiz, you can no longer unpublish. But you can early on. But the course, in order for the students to see the course, it has to be published. Please do that just before the first day of the term. If you publish it too far in advance, there is a way that students can actually hack their way into the shell, and you probably don't want that. But if you don't publish it by the first morning of the class, we get lots of phone calls. And the helpline, the student helpline, lights up like a pinball machine. I appreciate it if you remember to do that, because we can't do that for you. So I'll publish this while I'm thinking about it. In addition to publishing the course as a whole, you have to publish modules if you want students to be able to see them. And this module is not published. I know that because of a little slash circle there. If I publish it, a little green, you get a little green circle with a white check mark in it. And that module would now be visible to students. I can prove that by going to Student View. And there it is. The students can see it. I can leave Student View down here in the lower right. That's an important thing to know how to do. So, but it's also important that all of your individual items that you want the students to see are also published. If you want something not to be visible to students right off the bat, you can unpublish it at any time. But normally what you want here, of course, is a solid line of white check marks and green circles. You know the students can see all that. We used to have a lot of trouble in Blackboard with students not able to see something in a course when the instructor thought they could, because it was not as easy to tell in Blackboard if something was visible to students or not. Here, since all of your links to content are going to go into, or the vast majority of them are going to go into these modules, it's very easy to go to the modules page and look and see if something is visible to students. So, great. Well, I've got the beginnings of a getting started module. I might add more content to this later, but that's good enough. You get the idea of how that might work. We do recommend you have some sort of introductory or getting started module. But then you're going to start creating modules that contain your actual course content. And to make a module, it's pretty obvious here. We have this big lit up blue button that says plus module, add module. I can make a new module. Module name, I'm just going to call it Module 1. And I'm also going to, since I'm going to put some topic information in here, I don't have to do that. I could just call this Module 1. But how about, I'll call this Why Screencasting. And add the module. All there is to it. The new module shows with some white space in between it and the old module, so you can tell, you and the students can tell where one module ends and another one begins. And this is my first topic, my first week, my first chapter, whatever, in this course. So I'm going to put first content information in here, that or content that the students are going to need to read or watch or view in some way. So I add content to this module the same way I did to that one by just going to the plus sign here on the same horizontal line as the name of this new module. And I get that same screen. And might have a page here, make a new page, just like we did before. New page, give the page a name. I'm going to call it Y Screencaster. Call it anything you like. And add the item to the menu. But this is a page. There's really nothing in it yet. So I can click on that. Once again, click on the name of the page and edit it to add information. And the name of the page will display, so I don't have to worry about that. Oh, let's see, what might I put in here? Well, we've seen I can put maybe I'll put an image at the top of the screen. Maybe I have an image on my computer that I want to upload to my course files folder. Just going through this again so you get this process of adding content down in your mind a little bit. I've already added me, but I need something other than me. I want to upload a file. And let's go to the pictures folder on my computer, on your Mac, not a window, and I can search for a screencasting icon. Let's see. I'm looking right at it. I know I am. Huh. There it is. Or I can just search for it visually. Look for something in alphabetical order. There's a screencast. That's it. A little screencasting image. Just click open. I've uploaded that to my course files folder, but I've also I'll also have it in my page here in a second. I just update, and there it is. I can center that. I could put it over on the right if I wanted to. And what might I put on here? Well, I might have a video that I'd like to share. I just need the URL for the video. And I'm going to do that a little bit differently this time. I'm just going to put a link to it. I'll just call it a montage. Oh, no, let's embed it. Let's show you that. I can embed a video using this Insert Edit Media tool. Click the Embed tab. Need to get something from YouTube, an embed code that I can, we have other upcoming seminars that I can show you, but basically this embed code is something you can get from YouTube. You don't have to make it up. I can copy it to my clipboard, put it in here. Okay, and there is an embedded video. I can save that page. And when the students see this page, they can just click on that video and play it.
We'll begin recording first by assuring that our microphone is
and since
and select
this is YouTube, it's captioned,
and then we'll
so it's accessible. Go back to the module, and there's my new module with my first item in it. And now I can go through and I can add my course content that I want to share with my students that they need to go through in order to learn this. I might put a link to if I have the textbook online, I might put a link to a chapter in the textbook here. If I don't have that, I could just put in a, oops, I don't want to do an assignment. Might just put in yet another page and new page, page name. Call it reading assignment. Click on the name of the page. Canvas pages are wonderful things. They come up and display to students a lot faster than files will. So while you could do all this offline and then just upload the file as a Word document, if you're creating it from scratch anyway, it's probably just as easy to create it in Canvas. And then it will display to the students much more quickly and cleanly. But let's say your reading assignment might be just something as simple as an injunction to read the first chapter in the textbook. That's pretty good. That's an easy out. Might even spell V right. There we go. Save that. So when the student goes to this module, goes to Y screencasting, there they get a little introduction to the idea of screencasting, but they also get something that I haven't showed you up to now. They get these next and previous buttons at the bottom of the screen. So to get to the next item in the module, they don't have to go back to the modules tool and click on the next thing, though they certainly can do that. But if they're just rocking and rolling, all they have to do is click next, and there's the next item in the module. And they can just keep going that way until they get to the bottom of the module. And then presumably, they're done with that module and they're ready to go on to the next topic or the next week of information or the next chapter in the textbook, whatever. But they can always go back to modules. So those are just pages, once again. We can upload, as we've seen, we can upload files. If we have lecture notes in the Word document, you can just upload that right here. I can create a new page very quickly. In this case, I'm just copying and pasting stuff from a document I have off screen. You can copy and paste from Word and paste it into Canvas with reasonable safety. Where you did that in Blackboard, you were taking your course in your hands. But let's make a new page here. Call it Why Should I Care? Add that item, edit it, click on it, the name of it, edit it. I can paste at least much of the information on this page just right in here and not have to retype it. But once I get it in there, I can edit stuff to my heart's content. Make it look a little better. Save it. You notice there was also a save and publish icon there. I could have immediately published it if I wanted to, or I can go back in here and I can make sure that it gets published before I turn it loose for the students. So again, content, adding content, you're going to upload files that you have on your local computer that you created there or that you acquire from somewhere. Um, or you're going to create pages right within Canvas. A third type of content that you can also add is the external, it's called an external URL. We call that a web link in Canvas. And I might have some information about screencasting out there on the web somewhere. Let's search for that. I can just get a URL and paste it from the web, a web address. Give the page a name. The ultimate guide to screencasting, and add the item. That is just a link to content out on the web. Click on that, and the student is taken to that link on the web. Bam. Or I can go back to the previous link. So creating content modules is really quite simple and quick. It's a lot quicker to do it than it is to talk about it. But modules don't just contain content typically. They're also going to contain links to things like assessments and to, get my outline back here so I don't forget anything, and to other activities that you might want your students to carry out in the course. What do I mean by assessments? Well, things that produce grades, that assess the student's knowledge. If I add that same add button that I've been using before, among assessments here, the types of assessments I have available in Canvas include the homework assignment, which is typically an assignment that you give the students some instructions. They carry out those instructions, and in the process create a computer file like a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or PowerPoint presentation or whatever, that they then upload to a Dropbox that you provide them as part of the assignment. Or a quiz, obviously what that is. You can create quizzes, all types of quizzes in Canvas. They can be objective quizzes with basic objective question types like multiple choice, matching, true, false. You can include essay questions where the students have to type something or upload or paste something into a text box in order to answer the question. And a number of other more esoteric question types. There's very little that you can test for in the classroom other than practical examinations where students actually have to do something in front of you. Those are a little more challenging in Canvas, though not by any means impossible, given that every student has a video camera in their pocket now. They can film themselves using their smartphone doing something and send that video to you. So even practical types of examination questions are possible online in Canvas. Or a discussion forum, which is basically a bulletin board where students talk back and forth to one another and to you. And those can be graded as well. So those are your three types of possible assessments in Canvas. The most popular or the most important, of course, being the homework assignment and the quiz. So let's make a homework assignment. That might be the next thing we'd want here. We can not only make the assignment from this modules tool, but we can create a link to it at the same time within the module. So this is probably the most streamlined. It's not the only way to create an assignment in Canvas, but it's probably the most straightforward. And I don't have any assignments so far, so I'll just click New Assignment and give it a name. Let me see what my new assignment might be here. How about all right, let's have one called Define Casting, just for the sake of argument. I'll add the item, and this, like a page, is just a blank assignment right now. If I want to add content to it, I just click on the name of the assignment, and I get an assignment edit and creation screen. In order to actually do the editing, I have to click on the edit button here, and I get a text box, actually the rich content editor again, where I can type in the instructions for the assignment. I'm just going to copy some off screen here. You don't want to have to watch me type. So, in your own words, define the term screencasting, list some applications for it, and list hardware and software requirements required. All right. They're going to type that, presumably, into a Word document and then upload it to me. I have to give it a number of points. No, I'm not going to worry about the assignment group yet. I'm just going to leave most of this to the defaults. I do have to tell it set submission type. Canvas allows for a no submission as a special use of the assignment tool. We're not going to talk about that right now, but by far the most common type of submission type is online assignment. They're going to turn it in online. They're not going to have to be in your presence to do it, especially if the coronavirus is running rampant around San Diego. So this is the one you're probably going to use. But other options include on paper. If you're using this assignment tool in a face-to-face class, you can put the assignment in Canvas and have the instructions appear to the students, but then they'll receive instructions to turn the assignment in on paper to you. Or they can use an external tool like my whatever lab to do it. But in most cases, it will be an online assignment. And in order for them to submit online, they can either just type their assignment or paste it into a text box that you provide them, or they can just provide you with the URL of a website. That's kind of a special, then I don't have to worry about that one. They can do that under text entry too. It could be a media recording, or it could be a file upload, which is by far the most common type. They're going to create a file on their computer and they're going to upload it to you. You can even restrict the file types they can turn in by putting allowed extensions like .doc or .docx. That means it's got to be a Word document. And you can enforce that, or not, as you choose. If you get files from students you can't open, we can usually help with that, but sometimes it helps just to not allow that to happen in the first place. If it's a writing assignment, you can select a plagiarism review using the tool called Unicheck. And the student's submission will automatically be uploaded to the Unicheck servers, and they'll go through it and they'll search the web and other resources and highlight sections of the document the student may have copied. Useful tool. Normally you'll show any reports to students immediately, or you can restrict that later. I don't think we let you restrict that. I'm not going to worry about group assignments or peer reviews right now. And the default is to assign it to everyone. You can set a due date for it. And you can set availability dates so that it doesn't even show up to students until a certain time, or you can just leave that blank. You can set availability or available from date or until date. So if you don't want the students to be able to get into the assignment after it's due, you can just set that same date as a display until date. At least you want to put a due date in, because the due date will appear in the student's calendar and it will remind them that the assignment is due. So that's all there is to creating an assignment. Instructions, set points, submission type, and a due date, and you're done. That's easier than typing it out on paper, usually is. If you want to, you can get fancy and add rubrics and things like that, but that's beyond the scope of this course. So there, if I go back to modules, I now have a homework assignment right there. The student, I got to publish this. If I go in as a student, go to student view here on the home screen. He said, student view, yoo-hoo. There we go. Again, this by default, this list of modules is what the students see when they first go into the course, and there they can read this, read that, they can go look at this, and then they can click on the define screencast, and this is how they get their grade for this section. When they're this shows them the instructions and availability, due dates, and then when they're ready to do it, they just click submit assignment, and they get a submission screen, and they can just presumably they've typed a Word document at this point. They can just choose the file, find it. I just picked something at random here. Open and submit assignment. So students don't require a whole lot of training to be able to do that. If you set the assignment up properly, it's almost second nature to the student to do it. So it is practical to use Canvas with a group of students that really haven't had a lot of preparation, like the situation we might have here before too long. I was the support person for all of the pilot courses that we did on Canvas. We had 3 semesters of pilot courses before they got PeopleSoft ready and we could actually start using Canvas. And I can count on 2 hands the number of times I had an inquiry from a student about how to do something in Canvas other than what's my password. It's so intuitive that students just get it. It's the best single thing about Canvas there is. So even if your students were not given a lot of preparation in advance for this, it would still probably be practical for them to use it, because not only do they have you and us to ask, but they have this 24/7 student support hotline as well that they can call anytime, and the folks at Instructure will work them through it. And these folks are employed by Instructure, the company that writes Canvas, rather than by some third party like we used to have with Blackboard. And they're in this country, so they're awake rather than up in the middle of the night and somewhere in Bangalore. And the quality of the support is quite high. So it's realistic for students to jump right into this. I'm not saying it will be entirely without friction, but it can be done. And by default, and you can't prevent this, the students can always resubmit the assignment if they suddenly realize they screwed up. You don't necessarily have to grade the resubmissions, but they can resubmit. And that's why that button's there. So simple to create and to use in a homework assignment. Quizzes are almost as simple to set up. Let's go back to our module. I can do most course creation from within this modules tool. There are other places I can do this over here in the course menu, but mostly I can do it from here. I can add a quiz just by clicking to this module. Just say the last thing I want them to do in this module is take a quiz to validate their learning. Well, I can click on that plus sign and I have a quiz option in this menu here. A new quiz. I'm going to call it, what do I got to call it? I don't need to have to think creatively at this point. How about why screencasting quiz? Add that. Again, to populate this quiz with information, I just click on the name of the quiz and go to edit, because there's nothing in there yet. I have two tabs on my quiz creation screen. Details, which is basically quiz options, like what type of quiz? Well, probably a graded quiz, but it might be a practice quiz or a survey. I can set a time limit. I can allow multiple attempts if I wish, and keep the highest score or the latest score, the average score. And if I want to set the number of attempts, I can set that. This determines how students see feedback. If I want them to see the correct answers, I have to check this. And if I don't want them to see the correct answers until a certain time, I can set the time and so on, or only after their last attempt or whatever. Otherwise, the default is to have them see the correct answers just after they submit the quiz, which, you know, they can't go back and change them. So don't worry about quiz restrictions. You assign to everyone. You have due dates. And just like you had for an assignment, availability from and until dates and so on. Then we have the tab that allows us to actually add questions to the test. We can add questions manually from within Canvas. Or if we have question what's the term? Question banks that have been provided by a publisher or borrowed from someone, whatever. We can find questions in those banks and assign them to the test. I'm not going to worry about question groups right now. That's an advanced technique where we can have where if you have question banks, you can have Canvas randomly select questions from those question banks, and given your the guidelines that you set, Canvas can randomly generate a different test for each student, which greatly enhances testing security. But the basics are just to add a question. These are your question types. Multiple choice being the top option, the most common. But true, false, fill in the blank, multiple blanks, multiple answers, every student's favorite. A multiple choice question with more than one right answer, every student's nightmare, but probably the best type of objective test question there is. And all of these, multiple drop downs, matching, numerical answer, all of these the system will grade for you. You don't have to grade these tests if they contain only objective questions. But then we get into more complex things like formula question, essay question being the most common subjective question type. You have to grade that, but not difficult to do. File upload question where the student can upload a file to answer a test question, and so on. But a multiple choice questions may be the most common. You have a box to type the question itself in. Let me pull up something over here so I don't have to type this for you. There we go. Oh, let's see. Which, we'll type it, which of the following is a screen Screencasting tool. Question mark. There's my question. Now I have, by default, I have 4 possible answers, but I can add more if I want. The first one might be Camtasia. That is what? Or MS Word. Zoom. Back. Didn't mean to do that. Closed it out too soon. Or more than one of the above. One of those nice catch-all answers. Now I can update the question. That saves it. I can change the, by editing the question, I can always go back and edit the question. I can change the point value if I wish. That's how you set the number of points awarded to a quiz, is by setting individual question point values. And I can update the question. And there's my first question. Oops, one thing I neglected to do was indicate the correct answer. Camtasia certainly is a screencasting tool. Word is not, but Zoom is, can be used for that too. So the correct answer is that one. And I just click. You can see as I move my cursor up and down, the little green arrow follows me. I just click there, and that tells Canvas that this is the correct answer. Update the question. Now Canvas can grade that question. The student takes the quiz, they click on that, on one of those options, and Canvas will grade it, right or wrong. We can just keep going, adding new question types. Like here's our first one we added, and we automatically get an option to add another one. Let's make this an essay question. Those are real simple to add. Not so simple to grade, but real simple to add, right? What? How might one use screencasting in online education? That's a pretty general question. I'm likely to get a variety of answers on that, but I'll take it. And here I don't have to suggest any possible answers or whatever. I'll just grade that myself. I'll update the question. And there's my second question. So if you're typing out questions in Word to print out and give to students on paper, it's just as quick to type it into Canvas. If you have questions on Word already that you can use in Canvas, you can just copy and paste using this interface. You can copy and paste the question text and the answer text, if there are multiple choice questions, into each of these text boxes here. I'll get that out in a minute. So you can pretty quickly convert tests that you have on Word documents into a Canvas test. There is even a way to take the Word document and parse it using a software tool and have it automatically imported in the Canvas. That takes some hacking and some doing, but I can show you how to do that. Not today, but I can show you how to do that. And of course, you can also acquire test banks from your publisher. That's gotten to be a little harder because now the publisher wants you to have the students pay to use their sites, like My Whatever Lab or whatever that the publisher supplies, and they have the test questions over there. But in a lot of cases, you can still get a publisher's test bank from them. And you can import those into Canvas and just select questions out of there and make your test that way. I'm not going to show you that. Again, that is kind of a more advanced process that we would cover in our session on assessment in Canvas. We'll show you how to do that. We have recordings of those things like that online already that you can watch. But I just want you, right now, I just want you to know that that is possible. So you don't have to type the test over or even copy and paste it from Word. And then when I'm done adding questions, I can save the quiz. You don't have to do all that in one setting. You can always go back and edit it again, as long as you don't do that, as long as you do that before students begin taking it. When students, and now since I created this from the modules tool, here's the link to the quiz. If I publish that test, which I can do right from here, if I'm a student, go back to the home button here, go in as a student. The student can just take this quiz by clicking on that link, click take the quiz. There they are, bada bing. Type their answer in there and submit the quiz, and that's all it is to the student. It's just as easy as taking it on paper, a lot easier than taking it on a Scantron sheet. And the quiz, the objective parts of the quiz are graded just that fast. And I'll show you where to find the grades here in a moment. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on discussions right now. That's something you probably want to add. I just want to go spend the last 15 minutes or so here. Let me see. Let me go take a look at our chat tool again. I haven't done that in a little while. Oh, yeah. Is there a way to get multiple choice tests that are automatically corrected? All multiple choice tests are automatically corrected, as long as you put the right answers. How can I give a quiz that they can't cheat on? That, of course, is the issue with online quizzes. Can you prevent it totally? No. But from personal experience, I can tell you, you can't completely eliminate that possibility in a classroom either. I've been worked over by professionals. I spent 15 years in the classroom before I started playing with toys. So, can you minimize the possibility? Yes. You can, first off, you set a time limit on the test that is reasonable, but doesn't give them an infinite amount of time to go out and try to look up the questions on the web. Can they do that? Sure, they can. But not if you don't give them enough time to do it. Average multiple choice question, 1.5 minutes is plenty of time. If you don't give them more time than that, they're not really going to be effective. They might get the answer to 1 or 2 questions, but then they're not going to finish the test. So that helps. What if they get together and have a test party? Well, there's not a whole lot you can do about that, but it becomes pretty obvious, as it would if you were doing the test on paper. If you get a lot of submissions that are that have the same odd, wrong answers and so on, you got a pretty good indication of what's going on. So the chances of them doing something like that and getting away with it are relatively remote, to tell you the truth. You can also have tests randomly generated. I mentioned that. If you have banks of questions and you have the system randomly pull comparable questions from those banks so that each student gets a different test, well, that makes it a lot harder for them to cheat. So there are things you can do to minimize that possibility. And the chances of them actually getting away with that and benefiting from it in the long term are pretty remote, to tell you the truth. Let's see, once the content is published, how long can it be viewed? The student can view that's up to you. You can have content disappear after a certain period of time if you wish. Or you can leave it up there and they can view it throughout the course. The default behavior in Canvas for a course that's concluded, that is, that's over, is for the students to still have access to the shell, but only in a read-only format. So they can't submit anything, but they can't, but they can still see it. Or you can just, you can take the course down, we can take the course down completely and make it unavailable to students. Your choice. But indefinitely is the default behavior. There's a way to put unused, unwanted courses into a folder in the dashboard. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Roger. I'm going to send you a link on that because I don't want to spend the time, 12 minutes I have left on that, but I will send that to you. Thanks for giving me your email address earlier. If you haven't done that, please put your email address in there and I'll get that back to you. Very well. I do want to take a minute to go through the course menu here. In terms of generating course modules and so on, you've had an example of most everything you need at this point to generate a course. And you've got all this organized in your mind already because you deliver this course face-to-face. So you have much of this material ready and you have the organization in mind. And the nuts and bolts of putting it on Canvas are really pretty quick to do. And we will, of course, help you with that if you have questions. And you can always call the support line when you have questions. But it's not an unrealistic prospect to put a course online in a relatively short period of time in an emergency. A little bit about these menu items over here. There are some things you need to know about here. The home location we've already seen, and by default that's just your modules tool once you start creating modules. Announcements are a communication tool. It's kind of like an email. You just add an announcement and you give it a title. And you make the announcement. Hopefully it's a little more informative than that. And you can upload a file with it if you like. And then you just save it. Now students can click on the announcements tool and see that announcement. Indeed, if we go to student view, by default, when you go to home, no, that's not set up that way, sorry. So to see that announcement, all they have to do is click on the announcements tool, which for some reason I think was hidden in this course. Why would that be? That shouldn't be the default. Oh, it is. How can I do that? Well, I can go to the how can I fix that? I can go to the settings link in the course menu. It's one we're going to talk about anyway. And I can go to the navigation tab, and I can not quite sure what I did there. Why is that not showing up to, that should show up to students. Not visible to students. That is not the norm. Sorry, I'll figure that out and fix that. Because it looks like it should be. The course is published, is it not? Yep. I don't know what I did there. I'll fix that later and let you know. The assignments tool, on the other hand, is something you may or may not want to have visible to students, but the assignments tool shows all of the gradable items in the course to the students in one place. That includes not only homework assignments, but also quizzes. This is a quiz, obviously. This is a homework assignment, and gradable discussions. So this is a place where they could go and just take all the assessments. It's typical to not show that to students. That's more for you than for them. And you do that by going to Settings and Navigation, and just taking this Assignments tool and dragging it down below the line here. And save that change. And now that Assignments tool is no longer visible to students. That's what that little icon means. So it's easy to hide something in the course menu from students. Discussion forums are bulletin boards. Students typically, well, let me show you one in another course. Quickest way to do it, go to the dashboard, get one that's actually got some activity in it, go to discussions. Again, there's a lot of detail here I'm glossing over, but basically here's a discussion. And here's what it looks like. You type an initial post in a text box that instructs the students what to do and what to discuss here and how to do it. Then the students click reply. When they do, they get a text box and they can type something in. They can attach files, they can embed videos. It can be a very rich discussion. And that post appears and everybody sees it. When people read that post, they can reply to that post. Or they can reply to your original post. And people can reply to replies of replies and so on, and everything gets displayed, indented below one another. This is a reply to that post. So you get these threads of discussion. So you can carry on a discussion asynchronously. Everybody doesn't have to be discussing at the same time, but you can have very rich discussions and everybody can just do it on their own time. Wonderful tool, and these can be graded and become assessments if you wish. Let's jump out of the course menu for just a second and deal with another communication tool in Canvas that's in addition to the discussions, and that would be your inbox, which is accessed over here in your system menu. If I click on that tool, I see on the left here messages that were sent to you in Canvas by students, other instructors, in all of the courses in which you're enrolled in Canvas. This is Canvas's email system, if you will, for want of a better term. The messaging tool allows you to send messages to your students, which will be received both in their Canvas inboxes, just like yours, as well as in the inboxes for the personal inboxes for those students, their personal email inboxes for the email accounts that they have registered with Canvas. So it's an end-to-end communication system. If you send a message to them, it goes into their Canvas inbox, which they have to check inside Canvas, but it also goes into their personal email box so that they will see the message there as well. So your chances of actually communicating with them are much greater than in a system where only the external email box is sent to, or only the internal email boxes we had in Blackboard. Interestingly enough, as well, if they reply to that message that they receive in their personal inbox, the reply will come back to your inbox in Canvas and also be forwarded on to your personal email inbox that you have registered with Canvas. So it is this end-for-end communication system. You can read the messages here. Just click on one of them to see it. You can send messages using this little icon here, Compose. You select the course that you want to send to. Let me find one that's got some student users in it. Let's see. There we go. That one should work. You won't have that many courses, hopefully ever, in your Canvas dashboard. And to select whom to send to, we just click this little icon right here on the end of the to line. And I can start by selecting other teachers or students or student groups for that matter. Once I can select all students, or I can select individual students. And I can select more than one. I then have a subject line, just as I would normally would. If I am sending to a group of students, and I don't want everyone to know who else I'm sending it to, I can select send an individual message to each recipient, which basically is a blind carbon copy sort of situation. I can type a message here. I can attach a file. I can even attach a video that I can make right inside of Canvas. There I am. I can start the recording, and then the recording will automatically be embedded in the message. By the way, that will only appear in their Canvas inbox. The Simple Mail Transport Protocol of the Internet will not allow you to embed a video in an email for obvious reasons, if you think about it for a minute. But that's still a useful tool within Canvas. And then you just send the message, and off it goes. And it appears in their Canvas inbox and in their personal email inbox. It's worthwhile if you want to use this tool heavily, and we strongly suggest you do. It's a great communication tool. You may want to encourage the students to check and see what email address is associated with their account in Canvas. They can do that by going to the Account button here in the System menu and selecting Settings. Here's the email address or addresses that are associated with the student's account. You can have more than one. But if the email address, especially if there's just one email address here, which is the norm, if that email address is one that the student's no longer checking, they're not going to get your messages in their personal email. They will get it in their Canvas inbox, but not in their personal email. So it's important for them to check this and make sure that that's an email account they're currently using. If it's not, they can add an email address to the system very simply, just by typing it in here. And once they do that, here I've got two email addresses here. They can select which email address they want to use as the primary. Presumably that would not be the one that is they're no longer checking, and then they can delete that email address so that they don't have emails going to this place that they're not checking anymore. And then once they delete, they'll just have one email address left, presumably, and that's the one that they're checking, and the Canvas will forward messages on to. Grades is your grade book. Fairly standard ledger type display. It has considerable capability to compute grades. Indeed, by default, it will just add up all the points for the grades. I think I actually put that. Oh, where's my total column? What did I do with that? Ah, there it is. These are unpublished things that are showing after that, but here's the total column. And by default, it will add up the points that the students achieved, compare that to the possible points that you indicated when you created the assessments, and show the percentage that the student received, earned of the total. And if you so desire, assign a letter grade automatically. There's a little bit of setup to that, but it's not difficult. So, and any grading that's done automatically, like a quiz, if it were objective quiz would be graded and the score would automatically appear here. When you grade assignments, those through an interface called the speed grader, those grades appear here. And everything is stored and computed for you. There's obviously more detail than that, but we do also do a session on grading in Canvas with more detail. We talked about Canvas pages. This is where you can see all of your pages in one place. View all pages, and there are all the pages in this course. Files, we saw the file manager before. This just shows you all the files that you've uploaded to the course in one place. So if you want to get rid of some of those files that you don't need anymore, you can do that by clicking on a menu here and just deleting them. It's the most common thing you might do here under Files. The syllabus tool, I want to talk about that for a second, is not your course syllabus that you uploaded into the module, that you might have uploaded into a module. This is a tool that consists primarily of a course summary, which is really just a course calendar that shows all of the gradable items in the course listed by due date, in order of due date. So this gives the students another way to get around actually going through the modules and finding the assessments. So I'm only lukewarm on this. You can paste your course syllabus, your actual course syllabus, into a text box at the top of this if you want to. But what I usually do is just hide that tool, as we saw we could do with the assignments tool. Outcomes we don't use. Quizzes, again, just shows you all the quizzes. This is kind of a subset of the assignments tool, and it just shows the quizzes where the students can jump in and find the quizzes. And there's another way for them to find quizzes. Again, it's usually better to have them find the quiz in the modules. So we usually recommend hiding this from students. The modules tool we've spent most of our time in. I'm going to skip right over conferences. People is just your roster, your Canvas roster. You can show that to students or not, as you prefer. They don't get the functionality that you do. They just see their peers, and it gives them a way to message their peers through their inbox here. Some people show that to students, some don't. It won't really hurt if you do. We don't use the attendance tool. You can also integrate Zoom with Canvas and use Zoom with Canvas. There's a number of ways to do that. I'll point you to one of our Zoom or our seminars on how to use Zoom with Canvas for that. And then finally, the settings tool we've looked at briefly before. There are things that you can change here in the details, the course details tab, like you can put an image that appears inside the tile for the course on your dashboard. You unfortunately can't change the name of the course because we have information coded into the course name that we want to preserve. This time zone also you can't change. Most of this you can't change. The start and end dates are set for you. That's automatically set out of PeopleSoft. Yeah, there's nothing really you have to. If you enable a course grading scheme, you can have Canvas provide or assign letter grades automatically. You can view your grading scheme here, and you can edit it if you need to. Our default grading scheme is the standard 100, 90, 80, 70, 60. But if you don't enable that, Canvas can't use it. And that's an option you control. That's about all you really need to worry about there. Really, if you just leave this alone, everything will be fine. Navigation, I showed you how to hide things from students by just dragging it down below the line here. And that's probably all we need to worry about there. So take a deep breath. Roger, I'll mention, if you want to hold on for a second, I'll show you how to manage your dashboard. But right on the money at 4 o'clock, that's pretty much the nickel tour of Canvas. Obviously, there's a little bit of detail left out, but that's probably enough to get started and to know what questions to ask later on when you get into actually building a course in Canvas. I would make a case for, if you haven't done this before, if you're not using Canvas to supplement your face-to-face classes, you might consider starting to do that now, because that would give you a great start on having a Canvas course ready in case classes are suddenly canceled. Again, there's no indication that's going to happen right now, but we're also not discounting the possibility that it might. So getting started on that as quickly as possible would be a good idea. And it's something that you could use to supplement your face-to-face class. Students love having a Canvas shell to refer to get handouts and things like that, where so they don't have to carry them around or don't have to ask for another copy if they lose it. So it's a great thing to do anyway, and it could save a lot of time if the matter does hit the impeller blades at some point later in time. We'll be here to support you in that and help, so will Canvas support. And it's not an insurmountable task. If we can cover most of what you need to know, not all, but most of what you need to know in 2 hours, it can't be that bad. And thank you so much for showing up today to take a look at this. We really appreciate it. At this point, I'm not hearing any other questions or seeing any others in the chat tool. I will answer questions as long as you have them this afternoon. I'm sitting at home. I don't have anywhere else to be this evening. So if you have questions, keep answering them. Either unmute yourself and just speak, or put it in the chat tool. And the first one we have pending here is Roger's question about how you manage your dashboard. You can see that mine is a mess, because I've been in this system for several years now, and I'm in so many courses that finding a course in my dashboard gets to be a little bit of a challenge. So how can I fix that? Well, for starters, courses that are done automatically disappear from the dashboard. Doesn't mean you can't find them again. It just means you have to go to the Courses tool instead, which is right below the dashboard in the System menu. Here are all the classes that I'm in. Well, these are the ones that are on the dashboard, these ones at the top. Then I have an All Courses link that will take me to courses, which may no longer be on my dashboard, like past enrollments. Well, those are listed here, and future enrollments that are not yet ready can show up here, and the students can see this too. And your management of your dashboard is done from here by clicking these little stars. If you want to put a course on the dashboard, you click and light up the star. If you want to remove it, you unclick it. So I can remove stuff. I don't need that one. This one I probably still need. This one I probably don't need anymore. So I can take courses off my dashboard just going to my courses list and unclicking them. By default, you won't see any of these checked, and the dashboard will just have your current courses on it. Once you start clicking by going to All Courses under the Courses list, and you start clicking things, then only the things that you star will show on your dashboard. So now you have to manage your dashboard more or less manually. So you want to think about that before you get started on that. So that's pretty much dashboard management. That's how you govern what appears on your dashboard. Did that answer your question, Roger? Indeed. At least it's not, I don't think it's the coronavirus yet. Anybody else? Looking back to see if I've missed anything. Got a new message. All right, talk to you later. Thank you all so much for coming. That was a marvelous turnout. I hope you got some basic information, or you got other things that you might not have thought about for a while about Canvas reviewed. We will be continuing. Next Tuesday's course is on content management. I'll reprise some of the stuff about creating modules and so on, but I'll go into much more detail about the content editor and things like that. And then we'll keep going in that list. Mary will be sending out the lists of each week, the scheduled things. And if we add any new ones, as we may, given the possible impending issues, we'll certainly let you know the same way. Mary will send out notices for that, and she's sending that to all faculty. So even if you don't use Canvas on a regular basis, you should get that, get those messages. And you're always welcome to contact me. I'm delighted to hear from you. Here's my email address. I'm putting it in the chat tool. That is obviously my district address. I still have that. Contact me at any time. I'd love to hear from you. And yes.
It's Donna. Hi.
Hi, Donna.
How are you? That hair's getting longer and longer every time I see you.
Well, I had it trimmed a little bit yesterday. I started going over to the community college in Spokane over here for meals and various services and so on. I have to keep a little bit of contact with education.
That's cool. It's always great. You simplified it really, really well. I wanted to ask, you're doing the Flex training on video production on May 12th from 2 to 4.
I am.
But we have to turn in all our Flex hours by May 8th.
Sorry about that.
I was just wondering, any chance it could be rescheduled a little bit earlier?
We're pretty socked up before that.
Yeah.
But you could just turn it in and then record, attend the next.
I mean, I can do it without getting, the credit for it, but,
Yeah.
I think
well, as long as
more enrollment.
Sure, you're going to attend. You can put that in there. Just put another date in, I guess. But and I think Mary can still add Flex hours to the Flex calendar, to the Flex. I don't know if she still has access to that or not. She might be able to do that for you.
So I should send an email to Mary?
Yeah, check with Mary, see if she can do that.
Okay. I just think you'd have more people sign up.
Yeah, probably so. But we just stopped at May the 12th because I kind of got exhausted that day. We're going to keep offering training right through June.
Right.
At the end of June, my contract runs out, so I don't know what they might do after that.
Oh, I see.
For sure, we'll keep offering training through the end of June.
Okay, look forward to it.
All righty.
Thanks.
Good to hear from you.
Bye, Dave.
Bye-bye. All righty. Anybody else? Love to get these questions on in the recording, because sometimes the answers to the questions are the most valuable part of the recording, particularly if it's something I forgot to cover. Has happened. Let's see how many people are still there. Oh my gosh. We still have some absolute gluttons for punishment in the thing here. Any other questions? Well, hearing or seeing none and seeing people disappear regularly, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. But contact me anytime. I'd love to get questions from you. Take care. Bye-bye.